Hello, my name is Armelle, and I'm a 23-year-old girl fresh out of high school. I live in a pretty quiet Florida town. Not many people live here. My mother and I stay alone on a street not too close to many other houses. It's very secluded. The only things within 4 blocks are a local butchery, long schlong strip club, and a dollar store. There also used to be an ice cream shop, but a few years ago, the owner was ran out of town after repeatedly sneaking peanuts into a boy's ice cream. He was extremely allergic to nuts and nearly died the last time he bought ice cream from him. The man supposedly left in the wee of the night while most of us were asleep, before we could cap his ass. But that was a few years ago, and I had forgotten all about the ice cream man until this incident. So basically, my mother is a workaholic and is usually working throughout the day. However, at this point in time, her schedule forced her to work nights, so I was usually home alone. Most kids would be a bit uncomfortable being alone at night, at least where I lived. We don't have many streetlights, so it gets very dark. There are also many bumps in the night, most of which we just assume are just wild animals. No burglar would dare try to come back to our town, at least not after what happened to the last one that broke into little Timmy's house 2 blocks over. However, this particular night, I heard something different. It sounded like music. And as it got closer, I realized it was the sound of an ice cream truck. I minimized my incognito tabs and went to peek out the blinds to see if it really was what I thought it was. Sure enough, I saw an ice cream truck slowly cruising down my street. I was a bit creeped out, but that was overshadowed by the fact that I could satisfy my sweet tooth with an ice cream sandwich, so I ran outside to wave down the driver. I know what you're thinking. Why the hell would I buy a regular ice cream sandwich instead of the Oreo Crunch Bar? But I wasn't thinking rationally at the time. I ran outside and shouted for the ice cream man to stop. As soon as he heard me, he put the truck in reverse and quickly backed up to where I was. I was a bit startled at how fast he started reversing toward me. It was almost like he was waiting or hoping I'd call for him. When I saw the man, he looked familiar, but I couldn't place my finger on who he was. He had 2 blind eyes. He actually reminded me of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. I'd later come to find out he was the ice cream man that was ran out of town. I wasn't old enough to know him when he was here the first time, which is why I couldn't identify his bitch ass on this particular night. While I was looking to see which ice cream sandwich I wanted, I noticed the man was staring at me through the driver's side mirror. He had a slight smile on his face. I sort of awkwardly smirked myself, but I was becoming a bit creeped out at this point and wanted to just get my ice cream sandwich and be on my way. 1 extra large ice cream sandwich, please, I said, but the man just stared at me. Sir? He stared for about another 5 seconds before he asked if I had any allergies with a smile. Yeah, but I'm only ordering an ice cream sandwich, so why the hell does that matter?
Answer the question, bitch.
Slightly annoyed, I proceeded to explain how I'm allergic to fish. The man immediately got up and went to the back of his truck. I figured to get my ice cream sandwich. About 5 minutes later, the man came back. He asked me to try the sandwich with a big smile on his face.
See if you like it,
he said.
I want to make you a happy customer.
I didn't know why I thought that was a bit weird at the time, but I decided to give it a try anyways. I slowly bit into that sandwich and immediately became gassy. This bitch somehow managed to put minced fish into my ice cream. "What the hell did you do to me?" I said. But the ice cream man just started laughing. I immediately sharted and knew it was time to go before it got any worse, so I quickly began walking back to my front door. That's when I noticed the man immediately stopped laughing. I looked back, startled, and saw the man power walking toward me with an ice cream scooper full of the ice cream I had just eaten. I knew if I took another hit of that cream, I'd shit myself right there on the spot. The man said,
"Don't you want a double scoop?"
and laughed as he got closer. I just kept running as fast as I could toward the front door, which was only about 10 feet away. My mom's Desert Eagle was just behind the door, and I was prepared to turn this bitch into strawberry jam. Then, all of a sudden, a police cruiser began strolling down the street to make his rounds. This stopped the ice cream man in his tracks, he said. After about 5 seconds, he smiled and said he'd be back for another round of dessert one day, before running back to his truck and screeching off into the darkness. I finally made it to my bathroom. After blowing it up, I called the cops, and not long after, that same police cruiser from a few minutes earlier pulled up to my house, where I told him the entire story. He seemed very shocked and instructed me to remain calm while he called for backup on his walkie-talkie. The next thing I know, there were about 4 police cars at my house, along with my mom, who came back home early. After repeating my story for the 4th time, they spoke with my mom and told us to stay at a hotel for a few days while they waited for the man to come back.
Get the fuck out of here!
But he never did. It wasn't until we were at the hotel that my mom told me why it was such a big deal. This bitch had been on a killing spree, poisoning kids with this cream all over Florida. That's when I realized how lucky I was. That was 5 years ago now, and I still can't hear the sound of an ice cream truck without becoming scared and gassy. I'll probably never buy another ice cream sandwich ever again.